going on, guys? The Inside the Booth podcast, and today we're talking about the New York Football Giants' Week 3 loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Giants fall to 0-3 in this season, and it's been tough once again. Russell Wilson has been benched. We're going to get all into that and how Jaxon Dart is the Week 4 starter. But before we get into that, leave a like, leave a follow. Been appreciating all the support, and we are right back to it. Giants lose to this one 22-9. Unfortunate loss. Honestly, they don't have a kicker. Graham Gano has an injury. The only thing he really did was a little chip shot, 25-yard kick to get them to 9. Cam Scatterby got a touchdown this week. He looked phenomenal. He was the entire Giants offense. But Graham Gano has costed the New York Giants 4 losses in 3 years, and that is what we are getting to. I don't understand. I said we should cut him in our perfect off-season video, that the Giants could cut him on June 1st and save $4 million. Graham Gano is replaceable. I'm going to say it right there. He is a replaceable kicker. All you have to do is cut him on June 1st. You save $4 million. And you could have possibly made a move or something. But Graham Gano is what I am very upset with. But also Joe Shane, not addressing the kicker situation for that game. If Graham Gano is not good to go, someone should be available. But nobody was. You're going to have Jamie Gillum kick, and no shock, the kick gets blocked. And that's a big part of the game, is that there were a lot of times that if Graham Gano is healthy, you could have potentially put him out there, but you have to go for it on 4th down. You don't convert. Offensive play calling was bad once again, but that's not a shock because it's very simple. And I don't know if it's because of Russell Wilson and how he plays the game, or it's a Brian Daboll scheme, playbook, Mike Kafka issue. I'm not sure, but I think I've kind of gotten the gist that we got to see what Jaxon Dart has. With Russell Wilson heading to the bench, he's still going to be serving as the backup. So they haven't released him. They're not trading him. So as of now, Russell Wilson is still a New York Giant. So I think Russell Wilson probably knew when he had this performance, and it was very bad. A lot of interceptions, a lot of arm punts once again, that he probably didn't think that he would have to play in Week 4 against the Los Angeles Chargers, who just won a thriller against the Denver Broncos. So now with Russell Wilson done, as he's been benched, to me, honestly, I did not expect it to be as early as Week 4 for Jaxon Dart to start. I don't think a lot of Giants fans indicated that. I think they probably see him sometime later in the year. And I don't think it was the Giants' plan for the Jaxon Dart era to start in Week 4 in a tough schedule, right? Take on the Chargers. You're eventually going to take on Philly, Denver, San Francisco, even though they have some injuries, as Nick Bosa just tore his ACL for the second time. So there's a lot of things to look at for Jaxon Dart, right? What type of Jaxon Dart are we going to get? He looked good in the preseason, but obviously that's preseason, and this team has already shown that the preseason hype has gone out the window. So we got to see what type of plays they call, because when Jaxon Dart was in, obviously MetLife was, thriving, energy was high, but it would be some sort of RPO or, designed run play for Jaxon Dart. Mainly just a handoff to Cam Scatterby, who had a phenomenal game this week. Tyrone Tracy's now injured. He'll miss, I believe it said 3 to 4 weeks with a shoulder injury. He got banged up in that hit. It was very bad to see. So now your running back room consists of Cam Scatterby and Devin Singletary as the veteran back. We'll get some more playing time, but Cam Scatterby showed that he has RB1 potential. And I think I did say it, that he is an RB1 potential with the 1A, 1B with Tyrone Tracy and himself. Obviously, Cam Scatterby 1B, not the 1A, but I did think that there was a chance that he could potentially take over the role. Obviously, we didn't want it to be injury related, but Cam Scatterby, he's got a motor, and he is a person that you can rely on, give the ball to a lot, and let him feast. The amount of times that this guy would truck a Chiefs player or just make a nice move, break a tackle, it's pretty insane. And I mean, that's what he showed at ASU, is that this guy can break tackles, he could be explosive, and he could take over a football game. And I feel like he kind of took over this football game, but also Malik Neighbors, nothing there because he was getting double teamed, nothing from Wanda really. Darius Slade had a few catches, but nothing like, that was really game changing. So that is the big thing for the upcoming schedule, is that they're going to start doubling Malik Neighbors a lot more and see what they are going to allow. Is it Cam Scatterby going to have a big game? Is it Darius Slayton, Wanda Robinson? The tight ends haven't really had much. I mean, Theo Johnson, not great, and then Daniel Bellinger is majority a blocking tight end. But the other thing, I want to get back to Jaxon Dart because he's probably going to be the highlight of this video because it is big news, right? This is a type of move that I feel like Brian Daboll had to make because he's trying to save his job. I mean, Brian Daboll probably knows this. He's under the impression that if they continue to lose this season, he is probably going to get canned and the Giants are going to be in search for another head coach. That being said, I do think with Jaxon Dart starting, it does potentially save Brian Daboll because usually I feel like when you draft a quarterback, you're under the impression that you get an automatic extra year because he's a rookie. He's not going to take over a season and just make you guys a Super Bowl winning team. You got to let him develop, and I feel like that is why they gave the ability for Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll to draft Jaxon Dart, because they would have this year and then they would have next year. Now, I know there is some cons to that, right? Did they really deserve to draft the potential franchise quarterback for the next 10 seasons? I'm not sure, because the more I look at it, Brian Daboll might just be not a great head coach. And I have been a defender of Brian Daboll ever since he came here, right? We got to see him with the new quarterback. Or is this just a head coach, first-year head coach, might I add, that isn't very good, and all of that, right? The reason why they brought in Brian Daboll was to fix the offense and have them be more explosive. That has not been the case since he has entered the Giants building. The red zone offense was terrible, and Russell Wilson, I mean, how many times were you going to throw it to the fans or throw it to the uprights? That was terrible. And that was just another variable of why he got benched. And like I've said, I did not expect it to be this early. I did not. Usually you like to see your starter get through maybe at least 6 weeks. For me, I wanted him to at least get past the 2 Philly games in Denver, and then you could start him. But I think this is under the impression that Jaxon Dart is now under a lot of pressure because Brian Daboll made this move because he feels that he is his savior for his job. At least that's what I'm thinking about as I make this video, is that's why they made the decision very quickly. Now, outside of the Dallas game, Russell Wilson has not been good, and you could honestly potentially make a take that if they had a different quarterback under center, they could be 2-1. They could be 2-1. Week 3, another winnable football game against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, too many issues. Like, it's the same stuff, right? Play calling's bad. Defense holds their ground. I mean, Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau specifically have been awesome. I feel like we're waiting, to see Abdul Carter really break out. And then Dexter Lawrence didn't have a great game. Very low PFF grade. But I'm not worried about Dexter Lawrence. I said it pretty sure in the Dallas game that I'm not worried with how Dexter Lawrence is really performing right now. Abdul Carter is going to eventually get that sack. I mean, he had a numerous amount of times to try and wrap up Patrick Mahomes. He's had times in other weeks, but he's just not able to get it. And I think he's going to get it potentially soon, maybe this week against the LA Chargers. But, I mean, another thing, too, before we do get into the next topic, Young Wei Koo is on the practice squad, so I feel like that is an indicator that Graham Gano is not going to be good to go against the LA Chargers. Would have liked them to make the move prior to the Chiefs game and have Young Wei Koo kick field goals, for the Chiefs game, but that would be too much for Joe Schoen and his process. But don't want to be too critical. I mean, I know there's a lot to disagree with both of them, both Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen, but I keep turning back to, like, if you do fire these guys, who is out there that you are going to hire and consider it an upgrade? I mean, for me, I think Brandon Brown, the assistant GM, would take the role over for Joe Schoen if they were to fire Joe Schoen. And then for Brian Daboll, like, who is going to be the next head coach? I mean, I like to be so defended of Brian Daboll, and it's hard to defend him right now because of how the situation is for the New York Giants, right? Because there's been a lot of talk about John Gruden over the media. Now, I'm not saying that I want John Gruden to be the next head coach, but look at the recent head coaches that the Giants have hired, right? Joe Judge, Brian Daboll, Ben McAdoo, right? All those guys, all first-year head coaches. I feel like if you're John Mara, who deserves a lot of blame, for all of this, you would probably want to pivot to a more experienced head coach, right? I mean, you have hired a lot of first-year head coaches and thought young energy, maybe they potentially swing this franchise around that has been dealing with so much pain over the last 10-plus seasons. But no, they've been very first-year rookie head coaches and hoping for a spark, and that has not been the case. So that being said, you don't want to keep resetting the clock and firing these head coaches and GMs, right? So I do think their job is still somewhat safe. That being said, with how the season goes, their seat could get very, very hot and probably not be head coaches and the general manager for this next season, right? The other thing is that as a Giants fan, you're tired of seeing their season end before October. I mean, it's frustrating to see that as well because you want to see them, be 2-1 or 3-0 or, honestly, worst case 1-2. But you want to see them have a winning record after 3 weeks and not have the season end. Because I did say, right, if they fall to 0-3, it's very hard to come back. You're probably not going to make the playoffs, and you're probably going to be looking at the draft board very high at once again. For the amount of seasons in a row that they've picked in the top half. So the positives about this team is that it's not a bad roster, I don't think, right? I think it is more of a coaching issue and development issue. Both Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen's jobs are very hot, and I think that is a lot of pressure from John Mara because he said in an off-season press conference that he wants playoffs and he wants them sooner rather than later, and he's tired of not making the playoffs, which is understandable as an owner because you want them to make the playoffs and all of that, and you want to see MetLife host a playoff game and all of that fun stuff. But I think this is a coaching development issue. I mean, they are unprepared every freaking first quarter and first half, right? They get behind and then they're playing the catch-up game, and so there's a lot of teams that if you fall behind, you're not coming back from. And I think the teams that are coming on your schedule, the Lions, Packers, the Eagles, obviously, a lot of the really good football teams that you're going to be playing down the road, if you fall behind to them, you're not coming back. I mean, we'll see what Jaxon Dart has. I mean, that has been the big thing is that Giants fans want to see what their future or potential future future quarterback, not coach, has in them, right? You're 0-3, you're looking at the future and who is, going to provide positive stuff, So that's really where I stand with the Giants. Obviously, a lot of moves have been made recently, like with the the Koo move, Jaxon Dart starting. So we'll see how the team flies. I think it'll give a good boost of energy with the new new quarterback. I mean, for Russell Wilson's standpoint, I'll leave you as we did not want this to happen now. The Giants' plan was to start Jaxon Dart later in the year, and Russell Wilson failed. He failed miserably. He's terrible, and the Giants will now pivot to Jaxon Dart. But that's all I have for this video. Obviously, the Giants lose once again, and we'll see what they have for the Chargers. A very tough opponent with Justin Herbert, who's been flying lately. Jim Harbaugh has that team in a very good spot. The Giants are not in a good spot, but I'll leave you as that. And yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Leave a like, leave a follow, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.